In 1969, humanity did something extraordinary. We landed on the moon. For the first time, a human being stepped onto another world, nearly 400,000 kilometers away from Earth. It wasn't science fiction. It wasn't a simulation. It was real. The Saturn V rocket lifted us out of Earth's gravity. The lunar module carried us down to a surface no one had ever touched before. And for a few brief moments, humans stood on the moon. We explored it, we walked on it, we even drove across it. Then we came back, and a few years later, we stopped. No more missions, no more footsteps, no return. For over 50 years, no human has set foot on the moon again. Not because we couldn't, because we chose not to. And now, everything is about to change. Because this time, we're not going back to visit. We're going back to stay. After Apollo 11, the missions didn't stop. We went back again and again. Apollo 12, Apollo 14, Apollo 15, 16, and 17. Each time we stayed longer, traveled farther, learned more. We brought back rocks, tested new equipment, drove across the lunar surface. Step by step, we were getting better at living on another world. It felt like just the beginning, like we were preparing for something bigger, a future where the moon wouldn't be a destination, but a place we could actually use. And then it ended. In 1972, Apollo 17 left the moon. The crew lifted off and never came back. No follow-up mission, no permanent base, no long-term plan, just silence. Years passed. Then decades. Technology improved. Computers became more powerful than anything used during Apollo. We built space stations, sent robots across Mars, explored the edges of the solar system, and yet the moon remained untouched. No human footsteps, no new missions, nothing. The place we had already reached was suddenly out of reach again. Not because it was impossible, because something changed. And the question is, why? The moon looks calm. From a distance, it feels almost peaceful. But on the surface, it's one of the most hostile places we've ever reached. There is no air. No oxygen to breathe, no atmosphere to protect you. The sky is always black, even during the day. Temperatures swing violently. In sunlight, it can reach over 120 degrees Celsius. In the dark, it drops below minus 170. There is no weather, no wind, no sound, just silence and extremes. The ground itself is a problem. Lunar dust is sharp, abrasive, almost like microscopic glass. It sticks to everything. Suits, equipment, seals. And slowly, it destroys them. During Apollo, astronauts could only stay for a few days. Every second outside was a risk. Every movement had to be calculated, because there was no room for error, no rescue, no backup, just a fragile spacecraft, waiting to take them home. Apollo was never designed to stay. It was designed to go, to land, and to leave. And that changes everything. Because reaching the moon is not the same as living on it. For decades, the moon stayed the same, silent, distant, untouched. But here on Earth, everything changed. The computers that once filled entire rooms now fit in the palm of a hand. We learned how to build machines that can survive extreme environments for years. We sent rovers across Mars and landed probes on asteroids. We built the International Space Station, a permanent presence in space, orbiting Earth every 90 minutes. And slowly, the idea of going back to the moon started to feel different, not as a challenge, but as a logical next step. Because this time, we're not limited the way we were in 1969. We understand more. We can stay longer. We can plan ahead. And, more importantly, we now know what to look for. Water, hidden in the shadows of lunar craters, frozen beneath the surface. A resource that changes everything. Because water means oxygen. Water means fuel. Water means staying. And for the first time, the moon is no longer just a destination. It becomes a place we can actually use. That's where Artemis begins. Not as a repeat of Apollo, but as something entirely different. Artemis is not about going back to the moon. It's about staying there, not for a few hours, not for a few days, but for the long term. For the first time, we are planning missions that don't end when astronauts leave the surface. We are planning what comes next. Habitats, structures designed to protect humans from radiation, from extreme temperatures, from the harsh reality of the lunar environment. Some will be deployed, some may even be built directly on the moon, using its own materials. Because bringing everything from Earth is not sustainable, and that changes the rules completely. At the same time, a new station will orbit the moon, the Lunar Gateway, a small outpost in space, moving endlessly around the moon. A place to prepare missions, transfer crews, and coordinate everything happening below. For the first time, the moon won't be isolated. It will be connected. And on the surface, astronauts won't just walk. They will stay longer, work longer, travel farther, exploring regions we've never reached before, including the lunar South Pole, a place where sunlight is rare, but where water may exist in large quantities, a place that could become the center of everything. Because this is no longer exploration for the sake of discovery. This is preparation. Step by step, mission after mission, we are learning how to live somewhere that was never meant for us. Not perfectly, not permanently, but long enough to change what's possible. Because once you can stay on the moon, you're no longer just visiting space. You're starting to live in it. For decades, the moon was the goal, the place we wanted to reach, the ultimate destination. But Artemis changes that, because the moon is no longer the end of the journey. It's the starting point, a place close enough to reach, but far enough to test everything we don't yet master. Living away from Earth, operating in deep space for long periods, building systems that don't rely on constant support from home. On the moon, every mission becomes a rehearsal. Every mistake, a lesson. Every success, a step forward. Because beyond the moon, there is something much further. Mars, a world millions of kilometers away. No quick return, no immediate rescue. A place where survival depends entirely on what we bring and what we build. And we are not ready for that. Not yet. But step by step, Artemis is taking us there, learning how to produce resources, how to sustain life, how to operate far from Earth. Because once you can live on the moon, even temporarily, the idea of going further stops being impossible and starts becoming inevitable. The moon is not where this story ends. It's where the next chapter begins. In 1969, we reached the moon. It was a moment that proved something simple, that we could leave Earth. But what came after was silence. For decades, that footprint remained untouched. Not because we forgot how to get there, but because we weren't ready for what came next. Today, that changes. Not because the moon is easier to reach, but because we understand it differently. We're not going back to repeat the past. We're going back with a new purpose. To stay longer, to build, to learn how to exist beyond our own planet. Step by step, mission after mission, the moon is becoming more than a destination. It's becoming a place where humanity begins to extend itself. And maybe one day, when we look back at this moment, we won't see it as a return to the moon, but as the moment we finally started moving forward. Because the story was never about the moon. It was about what comes after.